Aye.
There you go. So the citizen comments are now. Anybody have any citizen comments? Any desires? Hearing any, we're going to move on to local business spotlight, Westmont Resources, Peter Linder. Come on, Peter, come on up. Is this working? Can you hear us? No, right.
A little bit, yeah.
Up to your mouth.
That's
So
fine.
that you can
Can
put
you
it
hear me
in.
now? It's just supposed to be louder. Is there a way to make it louder?
Yeah, you can take it out of the handle.
Okay. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm the entertainment for the night.
Yes.
I've been, my name's Peter Lindeman. I've lived in Liberty Lake for 7 years. I think this is one of the nicest places to live in the world, and I'm very blessed to live here. I've been self-employed for the last 30 years, which means I'm chronically unemployable. And if the bills aren't paid, it's my fault. So I've started a lot of different businesses. My wife and I have run a lot of businesses out of our house. The one I'm going to speak to tonight, which I was asked to speak to, is Westmont Resources Incorporated. Westmont Resources exists as a Delaware corporation, a C corporation doing business in Washington as a foreign corporation. It's a modern mining exploration company, and what I mean by that is that we don't own any claims, and we don't own any land, and we don't own any mines. The fact is that this area of the United States was opened up by logging and mining over the last 150 years, and there are billions and billions and billions and billions of tons of pre-mined material all over the western United States. And many of these things have been, valuables have been extracted from them, 100 years ago and left there. And there are valleys filled with things and piles of stuff, usually just called tails piles. And there, some of them are considered toxic waste, things like that, heavy metals, which, if you go to the periodic table, that means transition elements, which are very, very valuable these days. The Chinese control most of those, like samarium, dysprosium, things like this. They're used in making magnets that are very strong, things like this. What Westmont is trying to do is we have identified a number of pre-mined materials which have significant values in them. They've already been concentrated by the previous owner. And we are working with new assaying methodologies and new extraction methodologies, and put a lot of time into process chemists and things like this to develop commercially viable and profitable methods of reworking some of these materials so that we can gain a profit again. So this way of mining it doesn't have any of the overhead of standard mining. So the potential of making one of these things work, the payoff can be quite high. We're still in the exploratory stages. We spent a lot of time with chemists, as I said, and we haven't. We've identified a number of very lucrative materials. We've done a lot of work on them, and we have yet to crack a profitable extraction methodology. So that's where we are with it. It's all very exciting, and it's all very virtual in its value so far. So that's pretty much Westmont Resources.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Present.
Got to stay creative.
Yeah.
Any questions, Stefan?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Anybody want shares? No.
That's exciting.
I guess sometimes what is old is new.
Well, yeah, and especially in mining. Millions and millions and millions of dollars were spent to get these materials out of the ground and grind them up and do all those things. And our business model doesn't have those costs. So, it's, other people are doing this, looking at this possibility too. It's a very interesting and lucrative little point.
They can let someone spin it on, but you're like, okay.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, community members. Tonight I'm very proud to announce the promotion of one of our National Police Officers to the position of Sergeant. So Sergeant Jones is promoted July 1st officially, but this is our first meeting. We can get him here to be introduced to all of you. So I just want to give you a quick rundown as to why he was selected for the sergeant's position, a little bit about his background, and then I'll let him share a few words. So Jeff Jones served in the U.S. Army Special Operations Command 2nd Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment at Fort Lewis, Washington from 1994 to 1999. During his tenure at the 2nd Ranger Battalion, Officer Jones took part in Operation Uphold Democracy in Haiti and Operation Safe Haven in Panama. He additionally served as an Army recruiter serving in College Station, Texas from 1999 to 2002, and he left the Army as a staff sergeant. Upon separation from the Army, Officer Jones attended college at Texas State University, and he successfully completed his undergraduate degree, receiving a Bachelor's of Science degree in Criminal Justice with an emphasis in law enforcement. In November of 2004, Officer Jones started his law enforcement career with Pend Oreille County Sheriff's Office. He served as a deputy sheriff from 2004 till 2012. During this time, he was awarded the Meritorious Service Award and served as one of 2 commercial vehicle inspectors assigned to the Sheriff's Office. In January of 2013, we stole him from Pend Oreille County Sheriff's Office. We hired him, and since being hired with Liberty Lake, Officer Jones has been awarded the Officer of the Year Award, the Sergeant's Award, the Chief's Award. In January 2016, he earned the rank of Master Police Officer. And he currently serves as our armorer for the department. So I'd like to introduce Sergeant Jeff Jones. So a little ceremony is his wife John is going to remove his patrol officer badge and pin him with his sergeant's badge.
All right. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. I don't really have much to say. I'll keep it short. But I do want to thank all the people that were involved in the process. Mr. Mayor, thank you. City Administrator Katie Hahn, Chief, and everybody else that was involved. I'm humbled to be in the position that I'm in at this point, and I really look forward to working for the City of Liberty Lake in this capacity. So thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
2004 PT Cruiser Gold.
If I may,
Congratulations.
everybody's hand. I
Congratulations.
had an opportunity to work with Sergeant Jones over the last couple of years, and I can't tell you how proud I am to have him as a sergeant. He's a very proactive police officer. He's a great leader to our department, and we're extremely lucky to have him in this role.
Thanks. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
And we're going. 2 sergeants now.
That's right.
So, all right.
3 actually.
City Council position 6 candidate interviews.
Detective Sergeant.
Okay.
So, good evening and welcome to City Council. We're going to do some interviews and I'll quickly go over the process. We have 3 applicants in alphabetical order by last name is Mike Kennedy, Keith Copelson, and Matthew Randstrom. And so what we're going to do is we're going to draw numbers, and I think Odin's going to help us draw names, excuse me. And this will determine the order of the interviews. So this is very random. Matthew is first. Second is Mike Kennedy.
Mike Kennedy. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
And last is Keith Copelson. So how this is gonna work is, Matthew's gonna stay in the council chambers, the other two are gonna go to the room, around the corner and shut the door. And we have 4 to 6 questions we'll ask, and the council will listen to all the answers for the 6 candidates. When we're done, the council will go into executive session, and they will only discuss the applicant's qualifications, and then they'll come back out to the public meeting, and they will nominate and vote until one of the candidates, the first candidate that gets a majority, will be selected. And if there's, Councilmember Kaminsky?
I probably want to come back from executive session.
Okay, very good. So with that, Matthew, if you want to take the seat of honor right here. Is Matthew Ranstrom
The
here?
rest of us, did it all myself.
Hugh?
Thank you.
Excuse me, is Matthew Ranstrom here?
Hugh?
I don't know Matthew, so. So Mayor, we did send an email to him on Friday going over the process. We also, RJ called and left a message on his phone number. So at this point, if he's not here, there's someone standing outside, RJ, I'm wondering.
Was there a
With a young
response to
child?
the email or your phone call?
No.
Let's move on. Don't you think?
Hey, if he's
You
not
don't
here,
wanna respond?
not much to do.
We didn't want to respond to him.
No. Okay, so we'll move on to Mike Kennedy.
Mike,
Yeah.
This is remarkable, I must say.
So we're going to be at the chair.
You know, I was going to ask if we're going to have the chair, but now that I think about it, I'll be more nervous sitting down than I think I am when I'm standing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This way it's easier for me to understand. Just go water over them.
Okay, not a problem. And then the other thing is I will mention that every applicant will have 2 minutes of closing comments to share with us information that you think is important for our council to know. So I'll go ahead and get started. The first questions are about background and experience. Please share with us your background, qualifications, and why you are interested in applying for this city council position.
Well, background is, for me, is somewhat extensive. We've been in this area since 2002, but I was born in Spokane, raised in Southern Oregon. In that period of time we've been here, we've been involved in many businesses over a period of time. When we lived in Spokane, I was extremely actively involved in Spokane politics, not up front, but behind the scenes. I was on a lot of committees. I was on the planning commission for many years there. And in the 1990s, we can think that far back, that was involved in a 20-year comprehensive plan. And we started off, we met once a month, and then it was weekly, and sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. Took a look extensively we were trying to get accomplished in Spokane. And that was a 20-year process. Now, realize I look back, a lot of things they tried to get accomplished along there. They did get some accomplished, they did not get other things accomplished. The important thing is to be involved in something like that, because that gives you experience of not only what goes on in your own council, where you work, it gives you experience of what goes on in your neighborhoods. Because then when you're talking to your neighbors about what's going on, things of this sort here, you can speak from somewhat facts and not fiction, which does get out there a lot. Betty, my wife in the office today, and my son Michael, Betty and I have been married for 51 years. Now, anybody can get along with council members. It's got to be me. I can survive 51 years. My standard joke usually is that some people say, how long have you been married? And I say, Betty and I have had 7 glorious years. We've been married 51, but we have 7 glorious years. You take a weekend here, a weekend there, a few hours, it kind of goes from there. But experience-wise, like I say, I've been very much involved. The City of Liberty Lake, the Planning Commission, also Spokane Planning Commission. I've been a past president of the Northwest Public Communications Council for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. That consisted of business owners, of approximately 300 business owners throughout the states. And there was on that board, the present long period of time, we would go in, deal with the Public Utilities Commission, meet with senators, things of the sort here, dealing with public communication, telecommunication equipment, things of that sort. Betty and I have been business owners for years. We've had hundreds of employees in representing millions of dollars, not only revenue, but responsibility that we had. It is one thing that I worked for Old National Bank, Seattle First National Bank. I had responsibility for X number of dollars, up to $7, $8, $10 million in loans. But what would happen if I made a mistake there? I generally didn't lose my job. But when you're running a business, and you've got 100+ employees, and your name is on the line for $8 and $9 million, if you make a bad decision, not only do your employees lose their job, you lose your house. So when it comes to being able to make decisions, I have a lot of experience. The best thing somebody ever gave me advice was Jack Pring said to be successful in business, Mike, you want to run out of mistakes before you run out of money. Fortunately, we were able to survive with that. Volunteerism, Mary Glenn Home and School, our daughter was a resident there for 25 years. We were very much involved in that. I was a major fundraiser for that, for every project we had. I'm proud to say over a period of over plus 30 years that I was personally responsible for raising in excess of $400,000 to that organization. Very proud of that. Very, very proud of that. I've been on the architectural committee of Rancho Casablanca Resorts, Arrow Point Homeowners Association President, Newman Lake Homeowners Association, Kiwanis Board of Directors, Executive with Old National Bank, Seattle First National Bank. I dealt with special assets and corporate loans to businesses anywhere between somebody starting a car wash to somebody the size of Kaiser when they start getting involved. It's important to realize when somebody talks about being responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars or $1 million, $50 million, you share that responsibility with a lot of other individuals. What's unique when you become a city council member, in my opinion, you're dealing with a $10 million corporation. You have to make decisions just the same as if you're making decisions in business. Those are very similar when it comes down to it. Small business for over 30 years, Spokane native. As I mentioned, I do have a lot of experience. Usually, the first time I ever put together a resume was when I decided to get involved and even show up tonight. And I chuckled and said to somebody look at my resume and say, well, one of two things for this guy. He's done a lot of things, or he can't hold a job. Maybe true both ways. So, with that,
Okay, I have another question.
yes.
Since this is an interim position of approximately 4 months, what do you believe will be your biggest contribution during this time?
The ability to research, the ability to make decisions based on facts and not speculation, the ability to work with other individuals, other council members that have spent a lot of time and effort, more effort and time than I have, of being in the trenches. I've been outside. I started attending city council meetings in 2003. We moved here in 2002. As most people know or don't know, and the audience quite a few people do, I am a regular attendee of meetings. I am an individual that gets involved, not only behind the scene, but in front of the scene when it comes to volunteering, things of that sort there. So decision making is a key for me.
And then we're moving on now to budget and city services. When faced with competing budget requests, budgetary requests, describe how you will make spending decisions.
Well, spending and budget is huge for me. It is probably one of the most important things because in my life of being a banker and in business, I have to live and die by a budget because I have so much money coming in, and if I can't sell additional product or generate more services, then revenue drops off. It's different when you're a city. A city is an entity that is always there. It's never going to go away. The budget is absolutely critical because in life there's a lot of wish, want, need, and then got. And a lot of people go around going, I wish I had a new car, or I wish I had this. I wish the city had this and want. But I think for a city council member, when it comes down to the responsibility, is what is the true need? The true need that I see comes up is always in our roads and things of the sort here. And that's always a hot button for individuals. But right now, the access has always been in and out of this town. If we live within our budget, which is critical, we will have the funds to be able to do the expansion on Henry Road or the bridge expansion that we so dearly need in here. So budget is critical.
So which city services do you consider a priority?
Traffic. I mean, that's something, who's going to tell me no? That isn't it. Because it's always a hot button. You can go on social media, and that's what gets individuals going, is something like that will come up. But also, other things, that there's costs associated. A lot of times, citizens, including myself, you don't take into consideration that the council has to. And that is, what's happening further on down the road? What are these services we're providing now? And realizing that those services, as they get older, say infrastructure, water, sewer, things of the sort here, as that wears out, we have to have funds to be able to do that. And that brings me back to the budget. We have to anticipate those things.
And then the next question is, what is the biggest budget you have personally been responsible for administering?
Personal one? Personally, I've had responsibility for 50, 60 million. And I don't want you to be impressed with that. Don't leave here tonight going, oh my God, this guy's had responsibility up to 50 or 60 million. Consider the $5 or $6 million that Betty and I had our home involved in. Consider that as the most critical. Because not only the 100 and some employees that we had at the time, but we had a debt structure of $6 million. And it fluctuated up to $9 million or so. That was a debt that if I made a wrong decision or Betty made a wrong decision, not only did we lose the business, employees lose their jobs, we lost our home in bankruptcy. That's what qualifies me to be an individual to get the facts, make a decision, make that decision right by action. But I'm smart enough to realize that if I made the wrong decision or it needs to be changed, I can say, that was wrong, here's what we need to do.
So two more questions. One is on time and dedication. Serving on city council takes time and dedication. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment.
That's probably one of the better questions besides the budget. Tough thing is to get people to run for council members. It really is, because we go with individuals who run unopposed. And that's okay in itself, but it's tough to get individuals. At least now we have individuals who are running for this. I compliment and appreciate the other individuals who come forward to run for these positions. Because you may have an 8 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever it is. You may think that you're retired, but it still takes a lot of time. Some individuals may look at it and say, well, Mike is of the age bracket, he's probably retired. We're as busy now as I've ever been. We have other business interests that we're involved with, nothing related to be a conflict of interest with the city. I said, but time is only 24 hours a day. We all have it, we can either spend it, we can invest it. I've always felt when I look for individuals who are going to be instrumental in getting things accomplished, I look for the guy or the gal that is the busiest there is. Why do that? Because they know one thing they're familiar with better than anybody else, time management.
Okay. So the last question has to do with growth and development. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What are your thoughts and perceptions related to growth in Liberty Lake?
Could you repeat the last sentence of this?
Yes, what are your thoughts and perceptions related to growth in Liberty Lake?
Okay. Growth is critical to any city. Because I believe seriously that in life, you're either in the process of growth or decay. There's no standing still. There's nothing that falls in that category. We need growth within the city, but we need controlled growth. I've heard the city council say that their goal is to have a third commercial, third residential, third green space. I think it's a great goal, and I think we've been pretty successful with council members we've had, or leadership to be able to achieve that. But there will become a time of build out, and we're not going to have the tax base that we have right now. Over 50% of our revenue, I understand, comes from car sales and RVs, things like over here. It's a very volatile business because Betty and I are in that. And if gas goes up substantially or something changes, that's a industry that dies overnight. I have tremendous experience when it comes to dealing with businesses, with the idea that we're looking at expansion in this town. We need that part of it. I have extensive knowledge and experience already when we're in the telecommunications company, because we provide long-distance service to hotels and motels, and at one time, we operated over 1,000 payphones. But for some of you folks that are awfully young, that's that black thing that Superman used to go in the booth and pick it up and it would change. Some of you don't realize what that is. But I tell individuals when I've been a guest speaker out at Eastern College, I took a handset and I gave this as an example. This is business related. And I says, think about this. Before a cell phone, if you were in your house for business, that's the only way you could reach out to anybody in the world was through a payphone. That industry changed, just as this city changes. We need to be proactive on businesses, going out and talking to them now, that as our commercial areas gets expanded, that we're in the expansion mode. Spokane isn't because they're out of space. The Valley isn't because they're out of space. We have that ability. And I think we have the leadership to make sure that happens.
Okay, so that concludes the questions. You have 2 minutes to give us some summary comments, and Ann's going to help us keep track of time.
Well, 2 minutes
2 minutes.
for me can be tough. And the reason being is that when you're in the council meeting, you can get up and give you 3 minutes. And if you joke a little bit, they might go snicker and give you 4. But that doesn't happen. So 2 minutes. Okay. I'll read this because I felt this was important. I've had many people support me on applying for this position. It has also been suggested that I should not apply. Here's what reality is. Under no circumstances would I have not applied for this position. How else would you, City Council, know my qualifications are, or how I stand on issues affecting Liberty Lake growth and financial health? I'm here tonight to do the best that I can in answering all your questions and that you might ask. I believe I'm very qualified for this position. My first council meeting was in 2003, not long after moving to Liberty Lake. Every meeting I've attended, I was educating myself for tonight. Every time I spoke in front of you, I was educating myself on issues that concern the city. Every time we had coffee or discussed city issues, I was educating myself for qualifications of moving forward and being an asset to the city, as all citizens are to some degree. By attending all of the retreats, I was further educating myself. By volunteering on different committees and serving on the planning commission, I was educating myself for this position. This is how I learned what is involved to be a city council member. Not just show up periodically when there's a vacancy, show up and say, I'm going to do everything I can to help the city, and when they don't get picked, we never see them again. I believe qualifications are very important in order to make an educated decision tonight. Qualifications are an integral part in making decisions, in my opinion. This is what helps us determine how we select bids, hire employees, decisions to move ahead on projects such as Town Square and remodeling a trailhead, addressing Harvard Road and Henry Road expansion.
That's fine. That's 2 minutes.
2 minutes? There's only one paragraph, and that's where I was going to compliment Keith Coles that have come forward, because I also believe he's very qualified.
Thank you.
Might go back there while Keith comes out.
No autographs, nothing?
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Severs? Oh, good. Okay. Were you able to hear? Hugh, were you able to hear?
Right here.
Okay.
I am.
Thank you.
Councilman,
How you doing?
Thank you.
am I standing, sitting?
Your choice.
Okay, I can speak loud, please.
Okay. And you, if you want, you can take the mic with you.
Okay.
Yeah. And Councilmember Severs is on the phone.
Okay.
So, welcome, and I'll go ahead and start the questions, and then remember at the end we'll give you 2 minutes to wrap up. So the first question is about background and experience. Please share with us your background, qualifications, and why you are interested in applying for this position.
In background, I think everybody knows that I've been council member for 4 years before leaving a few months back. The reason why I'm considering coming out of temporary retirement is because I care about the city. And I feel that 4 or 5 months of my time would be a great value to the city and its citizens, because there would be really a ramp up of learning in a short amount of time that I could pretty much jump in, and it's an important time of the year to be working with budgets and the different issues that come up. So, ready and able.
Okay, so the next question relates to that this is an interim position, as you know, of approximately 4 months. What do you believe will be your biggest contribution in those 4 months?
I think asking the right questions with not only just the topics that come up, but also, as I mentioned before, with the budgeting process, being able to look through it, ask the important questions, and seek to get the right answers.
Okay. The next question is about budget and city service decisions. So when faced with competing budgetary requests, can you describe how you will make spending decisions?
I think that's specific to the particular issues that we're discussing at the time, but I think weighing, listening to the entire council, their thoughts, thinking about what I feel is right position to take as well, just keeping an open mind prior to going into a decision and listening and making a decision.
Okay, and then which city services do you consider a priority?
City services, we need to have a really strong budget. I think it's something that we need to have, and we need to take it seriously. But as far as the specific city services, I'm a big fan of public safety, but I think other than the obvious public safety position, I think all the services that we offer the community are very important to get the right balance of funds to properly run each of those. It's an important goal to have.
What is the biggest budget that you have personally been responsible for administering?
Well, back in my retail days, I had responsibilities of $20 million plus, personal responsibility for. So it's really, it's just a number, whether it's $1 or $1 million, it's just as important to me whether or not, how that money is spent.
Okay, we have 2 more questions. The next question is on time and dedication. Serving on city council takes time and dedication. Share with us your schedule. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment.
I'm retired.
Okay.
I have all the time necessary that I need to not only attend the meetings, but to take the time at home to review what the packets, what's included in the packet, what decisions are being made, what the community's questions are. I've got time on my schedule.
Okay, and the last question is about growth and development. And growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What are your thoughts and perceptions related to growth in Liberty Lake?
Well, I was asked this question a few years back, probably before your time. You know, growth is important as long as it's thought about and carefully planned out and well balanced. You know, I've made the comment before that boom towns sometimes turn into ghost towns when they're not properly handled. So I think just I think a good, well-balanced growth is what's important for the city. And sometimes that's not having growth in some situations.
Okay, so that takes us to the end, and Ann's going to be our timekeeper here, so whenever you're ready to start, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I was sitting in the other room, quiet, the timeout room, as I'll call it, and I was trying to think about how my decision would be if I were faced with what you're making that decision tonight. And the good news in my mind was you have 2 great candidates, different backgrounds, different things to bring to the table. You know, I am in this position tonight because I wanted to give the opportunity to the council to consider me for the position, because I can jump right in and get with the program pretty quickly and be a contribution to the council in the city. My opponent, I think he's an awesome guy, and personally speaking, I'm not on the council, so I'm going to say it, I'm going to vote for him. He's always attends the meetings and does a great job. But most importantly, I spoke to my son this morning, and he assured me that he hasn't spoken to any Russian attorneys. So I feel quite confident that I won't have too much city revolt if I get appointed tonight. But I mean, you guys have the decision to make. I'm more than happy to help and do what I need to do to help here. If you decide to take me, that's awesome. If you decide to take Mike Kennedy, that's awesome as well. And I wish you luck in your decision making, and that's all I really have.
Thank you. And so, Mayor, that concludes our interviews.
Okay.
Hold on, that mic, come back in. He's already done it. As Katie mentioned, we'll convene into an executive session. We're only probably about 10 minutes, I think, Mayor, is what we'll need. So it's 7:43 now, so at 7:53 we'll come back in and reconvene. We'll just be discussing the qualifications, or the council will be, that is, the qualifications of the candidates. When we come back out, there'll be a nomination and selection process for the candidates, as well as a vote. Once that individual is appointed, Ann, I believe, will be doing the oath of office, and that individual then will take, I presume, the seat at the end of the table. And then we'll proceed with the rest of the meeting from that point forward. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Gotcha.
Hugh's on the phone. Yes.
So we're back in session.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we move to nominate Keith Copelson as the temporary city council person.
Second.
Before you go to vote, Sean wanted me to, I have recused myself from the discussion in executive session, and I'm recusing myself from the vote. My husband and I have a business relationship with Keith, so we've known each other probably for 11 years before this all started. I just want to make sure I'm not voting to discuss, just to make sure there's no sense of impropriety or favoritism on my part. So I will not be voting tonight.
Any other nominations?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear us okay?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'd like to motion to nominate Mike Kennedy.
Second. No second.
No second?
I will second.
Oh, I see.
So moving second. Do we have two candidates?
Correct, and we'll take a vote in relation to the nominations with Keith Colson first, and then to the extent that how the outcome of the vote is, may or may not take a vote with regard to Mike Kennedy.
You have the voting. Just first how it goes. I haven't done this.
Colson, and then Mike Kennedy. So the vote will be first on Keith Colson.
Okay, for Keith, all supporting Keith, raise your right hand. Four. Okay,
Hugh.
you.
Councilmember Severs?
No.
Thank you.
So from that standpoint, the majority of council members have voted for Keith Colson to be appointed.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Keith Colson,
I, Mike Colson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Washington,
of the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
of the City of Liberty Lake,
of the City of Liberty Lake,
Council Position 6,
Council Position 6,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Councilman.
Assume your seat. We're at presentations. Jennifer.
Hugh, do you want to stay on the phone?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I wanted to
Katie, I gotta get running actually, but Keith, if you can hear me, congratulations, man. Look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
I wanted to be here tonight to remind you all of August 4th and 5th, Barefoot in the Park. Planning is very well underway. In fact, we have one meeting left as an organization. On this first slide, this is going to be part of the pull-out flyer that the Splash is going to do at the end of July. And it shows the groups over this year who have volunteered and donated a whole heck of a lot of time to plan this event. It is not just the city anymore. All of these groups have pulled together and attended every meeting and contributed pretty equally and split up duties throughout the whole planning of the event. So it's been a really great coordination to get this event moving along. And then I thought I would share a little bit of a breakdown of the activities for the 2 days. On Friday starting at noon will be the soccer. We'll have some food vendors, food trucks coming in on Friday. There will be the car show by Kiwanis on Friday evening, which was a hit last year. The beer garden by the Kiwanis group will also be Friday night with some live music by FOPP. On Saturday, more food vendors by Kiwanis. Business vendors are being managed and handled by Popular Companions. And Higher Ground Sanctuary is our petting zoo this year, and I actually foresee in future years she will probably become a contributor to the planning of this event. So I think year by year this event is definitely going to grow from the organizational standpoint, and so we get a little bit of flavor added in and building it up every single year. We have dog agility demonstration. Dan Dunn has been wonderful about getting that going. Popular Companions has brought us Post Falls Police Department K-9 unit and search and rescue mountain dogs that are going to provide some demonstrations for entertainment purposes and communication to the public on what they do. We have a magician for the first time this year. It's the same magician that the library uses, and he comes highly recommended. And we've got the same DJ that we had in past years who will kind of MC the event through the day up until the live bands in the evening. And again, live music in the evening has been put on by FOPP and beer garden in the evenings by Kiwanis. So as you can see, there's a theme here of ongoing communication and coordination with different organizations in the community, so it's turned out really well. We have done everything we can to push this out on social media. We've advertised in the Splash. We have flyers out at businesses. The vendors are aware of what's going on. If you had any feedback on how we might branch out and think of some other ideas to get the word out, I would be happy to take any feedback, or if you have ideas, shoot me an email. But hopefully everybody's heard of it by now, and hopefully everybody can join us for the event. Are there any questions?
Not any questions for me. I just, more than anything, want to thank you and the rest of the staff involved in this. I know it's a huge undertaking and a great event for our community, so I greatly appreciate the entire staff's
And throughout the hub. It was amazing. Yeah, the hub is taking care of the soccer.
Greatly appreciated from all parties.
Jen, I was going to mention too, something I wanted to point out, the family fun activity. Jen has contracted for a bouncy house, bungee, trampoline, bubble ball, face painting, and oversized yard games. And it's all at no cost, so all that is free.
So we took the family fun we had last year and we grew it quite a bit. It was a hit, and we're going to try our best to fill that park edge top to bottom. It won't be as full this year as we hope it will be next year and in the following year. So each year we hope that it'll grow and fill in, and I think the business vendors will be a great addition. Mara has done an amazing job at getting a good blend of different businesses. It's not three of the same. There's just a great variety that she's brought together for it. So I would encourage you to attend and say thanks to the businesses and just join us.
Okay, thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
Andrew?
I guess you can read that, so. So what we have for you this evening is for information and discussion. Just to give you some context. So right now, Pavilion Park receives water from the Meadowood Golf Course water, and from their pumping system. They are about to undergo a major renovation of their irrigation system. And after those improvements are complete, we are going to need to find a different way to draw water for our park, supply water for our park than we have right at this moment. There were three major options. That's first, what we have right now. Over the past years, we've had some challenges with the watering at Pavilion Park. In the time I've been here, we've had probably three major breakdowns over at the county facility to where our park was completely taken offline of water for a number of days, and that caused our crews a lot of time and money in trying to keep our park alive during heat in the season. It also restricts our ability to water at certain times. The park, the Meadowood Golf System, is not set up to handle watering both our system and the golf course at the same time. So during that kind of large facility prime time watering, which happens during the night, we can't water our park. That's why during the daytime, when it's generally inefficient, you see our park being watered. It conflicts with programming. There's a lot of things that it's just generally not good to be trying to water a park during the daytime. So we started looking at what possible improvements or options we had with this renovation the county's going to do. And there were three major options. One would be to drill our own well. We would end up taking basically some of the water right from the county well over to Pavilion and drilling our own well and having our own pumping system, pumping house, and all the facilities that go with that. There's a significant capital cost associated with that. You end up with your own pump system, but you end up with all of the associated work that goes with that and maintaining a pumping system. The costs and time and staff and everything else. The other option is to hook up to Liberty Lake Sewer and Water District. We could hook up to the water main in the street and supply our park's water that way. Again, there would be some capital cost associated with that. The major difference in hooking up to the municipal system is that we would be incurring anywhere from about $10,000 to $12,000 per year in perpetuity in water costs. So what we have right now over Rocky, that's about what we're spending. Two facilities are almost identical as far as the amount of acreage that we're watering. So we know from based on what we have there, we would be spending $10,000 to $12,000 each year. We would have probably somewhere around $100,000 in construction costs, maybe not quite there, but close to it, and connection fees if we were to construct our, or hook onto the municipal system. So that leaves us with, we have a third option, and that is continuing this relationship with the county. We would construct a new pump inside of the pump house that would draw from their pond. So we would not be dependent on their irrigation pump system anymore. It would pump to the park, and it would give us the flexibility of being able to water at the times when we need to, not necessarily when it's convenient for a third party. It also gets us away from having a monthly bill where we are paying $10,000 to $12,000 a year in just paying for the water. The ongoing costs that we would have, we will be paying a portion of the power for the large well pump system over at the county. That cost, and part of this ongoing, is about $2,500. About $1,000 would go into a year for things like maintenance and upkeep of the pump house building, winterizing our system, and so on. So what the interlocal agreement that you have before you covers is it states that we would be responsible for the construction cost of the system that would deliver water from the pump house to Pavilion. And then we would be responsible for a portion of the power costs for the well pump and a portion of the maintenance and upkeep of the well house itself. Now, there's other provisions in there, and if you have any questions about those, be sure to ask them. You can ask them now, or we can talk about them later. We've had a number of questions already.
Yeah, so we talked about this in finance, and this is a little bit more for Sean's purpose. I brought up some concerns with the agreement, more modifications to some verbiage in section 3.3b, which is on page 4 of 14. Talks about the county will add an additional amount equal to 10% city portion of cost to cover administration expenses. One of the things that I brought up that I'd like to have added in there is that it's not to exceed a certain dollar amount. Because if it ends up being a very hefty project, that 10% could potentially exceed what their administrative cost would normally be. Secondarily, I brought up in that section also, it talks about in the event that the city operation, maintenance, repair causes financial impact. I brought up that I would like to see it added that if due to any of their negligence or issues that they have caused, that they too will be responsible for fixing our portion of that, if it's due to any of their cause. And with that also, that if it's due to their negligence or during the operation process, they do something that causes any damages that cause financial impact, if it's because of their staff, they be responsible for that as well.
Is that also in 3.3B?
Yes, yeah, the whole section talks about that in 3B.
Okay.
So does anybody else have any questions?
First, I was introduced to this conceptually in today's finance meeting, and I wanted to offer my perceptions of our position and our choices. That the city of Liberty Lake has had water rights provided from the county since before incorporation, I think, or maybe since the existence of Pavilion Park has been an awesome asset. So now faced with a choice, as the county is in a reinvestment position. I think personally, when I consider choices, I want to focus on the recurring expense basis of those choices. And to summarize from the three provided, the option of continuing on in collaboration with the county and its recurring expense, and compared to Liberty Lake perhaps operating wells and operating pumps independently, have effectively the same recurring expense. That to me, like I say, is a priority of the recurring basis of it. I consider carefully then what the advantage or disadvantage it would be for the city to operate its own, I'd say, irrigation functions on that Pavilion Park versus continuing on with collaboration, I'll call it, and agreement-maintained interaction with the county. I see this as an opportunity, I'll call it, for local control, given that the cost basis of these are compared. So I think in the conversation at the Finance Committee, we just said, Andrew, if you could kind of do a compare and contrast of the independently operated irrigation versus the agreement-maintained collaboration with the county ongoing for both the sense of financial obligation and advantages and disadvantages. That would be helpful for that decision.
When do we expect to see this back, Katie?
Right now, it's scheduled to come back, I believe it's August 1st, and it's an interlocal agreement, so it's a contract, right? It's not under a resolution.
Yeah, it's simply passed like any other agreement.
So Andrew, real quick, is there a time constraint when we have to get it back to the county?
There is some time constraint. The county is right now going through the last process of design. It's taking them longer than they anticipated to get through the last part of the design process and have this out the door. If we were able to make a decision, it would be ideal to give them a decision in August. So if it were the first council in August or the second, that would be just fine. But it would be good to make a decision as to our direction.
So we have August 1st and August 15th. So why don't we go back, address some of the questions about local control, look at the options, and kind of frame it in a way so that, I know a lot of time, Andrew spent a lot of time with the design engineer. We didn't want to get real technical tonight, but certainly we could. Certainly the partnership with the county and then the prorating of costs, that was the goal. A reliable system, partnership with the county, and then prorate the cost so that we're paying an appropriate amount and not being overexposed to paying for things like negligence and things like that. That was kind of the overall goal, but let's frame it in a way, bring it back on the 1st, and then if you want to vote on it the 1st, that's fine. If you don't, we'll bring it back on the 15th.
I think it's important to note as well, during our conversation in finance, this bid has not gone out yet. So that $175,000 construction cost, based on our 10% of the agreement, is highball based on the engineer's design of this project. So that's a highball number, but that bid has not gone out yet, so we don't know the exact cost on that.
What, Andrew, just for public information, what do you think the anticipated total cost of the watering system rebuild, pump rebuild at Meadowwood, Liberty Lake is?
For our cost?
No, I'm talking about their cost. I'm just
Their cost, I've heard numbers anywhere from $2 to $3 million.
okay. So, if you, I just want to make sure everybody is in full perspective of what they're going through.
It's a
As opposed
significant
to,
cost.
hey, we're paying $175, these guys are paying $175, they're paying $3 million, and our portion is 5% of that, or 10% or whatever that is. So just kind of make sure everybody's on the same page and everybody has a full understanding of what is going on. We made the agreement with the county in 2001 to take over Pavilion Park, and in fact, we bought it for $5. And at the time, the goal was to get, they were gonna cut off our water and, from the golf course, Odin remembers. And at the time, they were, I think, 25 acre-feet short of Meadowwood's capacity to water the Meadowwood golf course. And we were able to go secure a water right for 40 acres, allowing them to get their 25 and us to get our 15 for the pavilion park. So that's why the agreement went 15 or 16 years now. Did we pay for any water? I don't think we did.
No, one time they had an electrical repair, and we prorated a small contribution towards electrical repair.
For 16 years, we've basically been taking the water out of their well, our well, joint well, to provide water for our park. We knew at this point in time that there would be some negotiations down the road. And we also knew that they were going to probably ask us to pay our fair share, at least of a new pump system. And so again, going back to this 175, yeah, it sounds like a big number, but in the scheme of things, it's severely less. And a partnership is always good. So Andrew, thanks very much. Go back and try to tighten up as best you can. I mean, we don't want to get into a situation where we don't have our engineers managing our project.
Just a quick note to remind everybody, we actually have $100,000 of this in the 2017 budget. We would have to put the balance of it in the 18 budget. If we do ahead
And
of
just
this.
so everyone is aware, in discussion with the county, Pavilion Park is going to be getting water through this season. So this isn't suddenly this fall when we're trying to put the system to bed and just cut the water off.
They're going to rebuild the system
Over the winter. Yeah, beginning this fall and through the winter.
So we probably won't even get an invoice until January, February.
It may not come till 18.
I would doubt.
Andrew, one of the things, if you would include, please, make sure that you give us some operation costs for current operation on that.
So current operation of the existing system that they
The
have?
existing system, what it's costing us now. It's costing us $0, and it's going for 16 years. I like it.
I know, it's perfect. It's
Per-
perfect system.
Let's don't do anything.
I asked you that, and I didn't get a response that I liked.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay?
Thank you all.
Good enough. Finance Committee meeting.
Okay,
Light, please.
Okay, Finance Committee met tonight. We had a quick legislative update from RJ. The 2017-2019 state budget, operating budget was passed. The legislature is in the third special session working out the capital budget. What that means for us right now is that grants for the 2 new signals at Madison and Signal, our RCO grant, any talk about money toward the Harvard Bridge is on hold right now until they get through passing that capital budget. If I'm messing that up, RJ, feel free to correct me. A couple other things I had mentioned in a previous meeting that the legislature was looking at taking out some additional pieces of our shared revenue that was left intact. They still intend to phase out the streamlined sales tax starting in, I think it was 2019, which would probably take our sales tax revenue down by about $60,000 a year. There was a proposal on the table in the legislature to allow cities to increase property tax more than 1% a year. That did not pass. So here's the one that nobody's going to like, but I'll try to walk through it pretty simply. So because of the McCleary decision of fully funding the schools, there will be an increased property tax levy for the state school from $2 to $2.70 starting in January of 2018. So what you're going to see is a temporary increase in your school tax levy rate, and then in 2019, the local school tax rate will decrease from $3.39, which is what it currently is this year, to $1.50. So you'll see a bump in 2018 in what you're paying for school tax levy, but then in 19 it will go down. So it's an overall savings, but you will see that slight bump in 2018 in your property taxes on schools. There was a Senate Bill 5975 with regards to family and medical leave. You may have seen some of that in the news. That will affect our seasonal and part-time employees in the next year or so. Trailhead, we discussed the possibility of the upcoming irrigation project and pond liner. We'll be doing those together. More information to come on that. We also discussed driving range fence. We've had that in the budget in the past to make the end of it taller and to do something with the side as well. From the sounds of things, we're going to have to replace part of that fence pretty soon, so we'll need to have more discussions on that during the budget process as to what we're going to do and when and the cost. The June monthly report, so we're halfway through the year. Sales tax versus last year at the same time is up 14%. Of course, as Mike Kennedy mentioned earlier, half of our sales tax revenue comes from Iowa and RV, and they are up 6% this year. So good news there. Our permit revenue year to date is up 8% so far from 2016's record year as well, so that continues to be strong. Projects are looking like they'll be on track. We get a great bar graph here to show our progress of what we spent versus what we budgeted. We'll see the Liberty Lake Road project go up quite a bit during the next report as we start to see those bills come in. Review vouchers, you'll see the numbers pretty high. 848,000 of that is from Liberty Lake Road.
Couple of questions?
Yes.
You know, a few years back, it's probably, I don't remember exactly when the streamlined sales tax started, but we were worried quite a bit at that time that we were going to have a nosedive in our sales revenue, our sales tax. So as it turned out over the years, it's increased our base. Is that what you found?
Our base better to answer that.
The streamlined sales tax is kind of a mitigation that 50 to 60,000 has been consistent since it's been in place. It's really came in because of Hutton. Is the main reason why we have the streamlined sales tax there. So they measured that to be about 50 to 60,000. That's been consistent. That will go away in probably 2019 when they do it in budget. They're already phasing that out. What they anticipate is this new act called the Fair Marketplace Act, which is going to require all vendors for online sales to charge state tax. Sometimes when you buy from Amazon, sometimes you buy from a third-party vendor, they're not charging you the sales tax. That becomes mandatory effective this year.
But we don't expect to make up the full
That's
60,000 from that.
not right away, but that they anticipate over the next 2, 3, 4 years that your online sales, if we're taxing everything that's coming in, that'll make up the difference between streamlined sales.
That just begs one question on my mind, just off the top, is who's tracking that and how would they track it? How would we know the sales on somebody else's internet sales?
It's tricky.
It's tricky.
So the Department of Revenue is responsible for tracking.
Sure.
So they will get reports of who's doing business and where sales are going. So it's going to take a lot of auditing on their side.
Great. Okay, thank you. The auto sales, that's up for 6%. Did that include RV sales?
Yes.
It did. Thank you so much.
Okay, Community Development Committee.
Yes, the Community Development Committee met on Tuesday, June the 27th here at City Hall. Present at the meeting from staff were Amanda Tano, Andrew Staples, Jennifer Camp, and Katie Allen. City Council, Robert Moore, Shane Brickner, and Odin Langford. From the Planning Commission, Stan Goodman. We reviewed the City Council proposed agenda overviews for the next couple of months. Jennifer reviewed the event calendar update, including the yard sale. Andrew gave us a city project update. The most significant item at the time was that the Liberty Lake Road project was on time and scheduled for completion on August 21st. Is that still correct?
That's still correct.
Excellent. Sure we'll all be glad when that's finished.
Oh, yeah.
The mayor had asked us, the Community Development Committee, to review planning commission appointment applications and make a recommendation to him for appointments. Rather than doing that, we, since it wasn't really provided for in the bylaws, we did review each of the applications, and solely based upon those applications that we had, we made a recommendation for 3 individuals without making a recommendation as to who would be a voting member and who would be adjunct members. As you know, the mayor then makes those recommendations or nominations to council, and we confirm or vote on those nominations. We talked a little bit about the proposed Parks, Recreation, and Public Art Commission. We're expecting to have an ordinance establishing that by the end of the year. We also talked about the Orchard Park land transfer, there's an update on that. And the next meeting is July 25th at noon here at City Hall. That's all I have, thank you.
I got police department.
Folks, if you want to do that.
No, go ahead, Brian.
The Public Safety Committee met on the 11th. It was Councilmember Langford, myself, Library Director Pamela Mogan reviewed the continuing increasing circulation of our library and the number of events that had been going on during the month of June, not the least of which the Touch-A-Truck event on the 30th brought more than 500 people to the Town Square Park, one of the largest events I can think of city-sponsored. So another exhibit of great programming within the library. Spokane Valley Fire Chief Brian Collins was there, was able to introduce objectives that the Valley Fire has is experimenting with the development of the Pulse Point application. For those who are familiar with this handheld app, which allows you to summon life-threatening people who are, we'll say, CPR trained or potentially could be supporting life-threatening events to locations, that right now it doesn't summon you to private locations, and that's a default function, but that for trained and equipped Spokane Valley Fire staff off-duty, that they could be potentially summoned to events in private locations. Is something that they're evaluating. It's a development, I guess I'd say an enhancement of the utility of that app. Value that highly, and there's a lot of great stories that go with that in how they're able to continue life-saving, I'd say, beyond what first responders are able to do. The Valley Fire also got a new river rescue boat that gets down to 1 foot in depth. So lots of river rescues that go on during the summer for Valley Fire. Chief Brian Asmus was able to review actions for the police department, that the events that have taken place thus far in the season, 4th of July, Liberty Lake Loop, Valley Girl Triathlon, all these have gone without any considerable challenges or obstacles for the sake of public safety. Another great summer, I guess I'd say, so far in terms of the ability to get people in cars and places where they need to go. That he hosted the Coffee with a Cop event. That was last week, which I think really pretty well attended. Brian, how'd that go last Thursday? Coffee with a Cop?
Yeah, very well attended. Almost standing room only.
Wow.
And lots of good feedback from the community, so it's very successful.
Oh man, that's great. I got to say, I value so highly the efforts of Chief Brian Asmus to create outreach, we'll call it an engagement, that I want people to be able to say hi and get to know the officers in our community. They are our friends. So I'm so grateful for Brian's effort in the outreach. Little capers that go on here in our city. There was, within a period, I think, of a week, 5 mid-90s Hondas lifted from within the community. These cars go for joyrides. A phenomena of the mid-90s Honda Civics and Accords is it barely takes any tools to get in, turn the key, and drive away. The guys have, they go for a couple laps, I guess, and then dump them off at the zip trip. That the county was brought in and able to, I think, get the guy with a bait car, it's called. So a 90s Honda with a GPS in it. The perp was located, and then in another great moment, one of the stolen cars had a receipt from the McDonald's drive-in on the passenger seat from the time period the car was stolen. So the detective was able to use the video feed from the McDonald's drive-in to get a confirmed identity of the car thief. So yeah, the little capers and the things that we get to understand in our community. The chief is working on a smoking ban ordinance in our public parks, and so that will be coming before the council in a future meeting to consider removing tobacco use and vaping use throughout the public parks. Is something we'll have a choice for as a council. I brought forward long-term, I'll call it vehicle storage on our public streets. There's some streets in the city where people, honest, are just skipping the storage unit and parking RVs and boats and other effects. That it isn't right now a public safety challenge is observed from Brian, that there isn't necessarily a hazard created for our people, but it's more an aesthetic condition. So how we handle that as a city with respect to ordinances or other enforcement activities is something that we'll have to have ongoing dialogue for. And in a golf cart moment, I think 290 is the number of golf carts registered right now through the city's golf cart program, which I got to tell you, if that's even half of the golf carts that are out there, I'm just amazed at the number of people that have golf carts in the city. I think that's great. And just a reminder that the distracted driving law statewide goes into effect soon, the 23rd. Quick tips for everybody is that don't touch that mobile phone, have it in your hand, that you can only touch it with one finger. And not even at a traffic light. So be prepared for that. With respect to enforcement, there'll be a campaign regarding education first. We are not out there to try and move in and immediately we'll say pounce on people, but it's an important gesture. And yeah, get those little things that hold on to them, like on the suction cups on the glass or on the dash or something, just so you're not holding these devices in your hands when you're trying to operate a car. That's it.
Okay.
Just for the audience's sake, in relation to the smoking in the park, how this has kind of come up is I noticed a trend of calls we get to the police department about people smoking, number one, in the park period, especially the possibility of the e-cigarettes and younger people smoking e-cigarettes. It's very hard to decipher, are they of age to do that? Are they not of age? Take up a lot of police time, as you can imagine. And on top of it, they're smoking marijuana through these e-cigarettes now. And we get a lot of phone calls about people smoking marijuana in the park. Naturally, we don't want our kids objected to this. So the discussion came about banning all smoking devices within the park. So I think it's going to be a good benefit to the community and for our police department's sake.
Okay. Other reports?
Just for the council's sake, for your knowledge, we have our second staff appreciation lunch coming up. It's going to be August 9th at noon. You are all welcome to attend. I encourage it. This is an opportunity for the city council to say thanks to the city staff for all they do each and every day. As I've always said, they're the backbone to the city, and they need that recognition. With that being said, you can imagine that feeding 55 people can get a little costly. So any contribution that you can bring to that is appreciated. That money does not come out of the city's funds. That comes strictly out of city council's money, our personal funds. So anything that you can donate to that is appreciated. So get together with me on that.
I just wanted to mention that my wife and I attended the Coffee with Cops. This was last Thursday. And anyway, it was a really nice affair, and it was a big crowd. And it was really, really good to see our police officers sitting down or standing up and talking, to the residents in the community. And dialogue was really great, and I think we'll continue to have this in the future. Thank you very much.
Comments? Okay.
Okay, good evening again. My report, I'll keep it pretty brief. So Councilmember Morris spoke about the park board, and just a few comments. One is, I've looked at some model cities and I found some really good ordinances. Jennifer Camp and I are working on this, and we're thinking it's going to be an advisory body to give us feedback on policies, fees, and capital improvements. We're trying to kind of nail down what are the right fee structure to charge people that want to reserve our parks. And we get a lot of requests, and we want to make sure we have our fees figured out before they make the request. We're also thinking of a 7-member makeup, kind of one at large, 2 from maybe the Rocky Hill Park area, 2 from the Pavilion Park area, and 2 from the Orchard Park area. That way we can get a good representation of our community. So we're working on the ordinance. Our goal is to kind of get it through the committee and then to council so that we can have the first park board in place by the first of the year. That's kind of our time frame. Community center, the mailers went out. There's some copies of what got mailed on the counter over there. Ballots were delivered last week. The mailers were delivered last week. 2 weeks from tonight is the election, and so this is a reminder to everybody to please vote. And drop in, if you want to save the postage, you can drop off your ballots at the library. There is a burn ban in place. More information's on our website, but it mostly pertains to open burning. Fire pits, I think, are excluded, but there's more information on the website. The other thing I was going to mention is that we do have a resolution 12-156A related to City Council rules and procedure, and section 8.2 of that specifically pertains to public comment. The chief and I were talking about this morning, and we're going to do a little bit of research and bring it back. The question comes up about what our resolution says. What this says is that the person that wants to speak must or shall provide their address. So we're going to do some research and see if we should make some updates to that resolution. We all understand standing in a public forum and giving your address is sometimes not something that everyone wants to do, but that's what our resolution says. So we'll be working on what flexibilities we have to make our resolution consistent with what we want it to say. Liberty Lake Road construction project, real quick. Andrew's doing a great job on that. I know it's going. Dennis. We have inspectors out there. So I will say it's on schedule. We do have some extra charges related to the additional setting up and breaking down of traffic control devices and dust control. We knew that was going to happen when we removed the restrictions from the intersections. But I do want to say periodically we do get phone calls that say, I just sat the light for the whole cycle and then it went green, yellow, red real fast and it didn't go through a cycle. And so it was a hiccup. We know it happened and we're trying to fix that, but doing the best we can. Everything's going fairly well and you can kind of see the new road really taking shape. And then the last thing is, August 1st is our next council meeting. It's also election night. It's also National Night Out. And I know in the past we've set up this meeting to happen outside at Pavilion Park or at Town Square. And we were thinking of not doing that this year, of actually having it in our council chambers. It's a lot of work on our staff to set up the audio. And I know last year it was really windy and papers were flying and the wind was fighting with the microphone. So we're going to pass, if that's all right, we're going to pass and have our council chambers, or our council meeting here and, or out on the patio, Mayor? Okay, out on the patio.
Outside. We're outside.
We're outside.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
We have grass out there, and we have golf balls coming in, we'll have move-up balls for everybody.
Okay. So we'll be outside. We'll have a little bit of light refreshments afterwards, but to set it up in the park just takes a lot of staff resources, and so it's a fairly light agenda, and we think we'll just have it in the park, or have it here at City Council, at City Hall.
You have, I was going to mention, we've made our selection for the planning commission because that's Bob brought up. So you,
Yes, we notified the 3 applicants that were selected, and then the other 2 applicants, have we made contact with them yet? Not yet. So we need a few more phone calls, and then we can announce it.
And that comes back to us for confirmation at the next meeting?
It does. On August 1st, we'll bring back the planning commission confirmation. Yes.
they don't meet in August.
They do not, in fact, the next meeting isn't until October, probably, so there's plenty of time. So that concludes my report.
All right, so our action items consent agenda.
Mayor, move action items, consent agenda 1, to approve June 20th, 2017 city council minutes. And number 2, to approve July 4th, 2017 vouchers in the amount of $166,169.11. July 18th vouchers in the amount of $1,024,937.22.
Second.
Moving second, further discussion?
Discussion. Was there any outcome to my request? There was. City Attorney, I'd like to move that we go to an unscheduled executive session for approximately 10 minutes or so to discuss a personnel matter.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Back 10 minutes?
Yes, I made a motion for consent agenda 1 and 2. Need a second?
Second.
Further discussion? I hear you all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. Resolutions, Ann?
Resolution number 17-227, City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington. A resolution of the City of Liberty Lake updating the 6-year transportation improvement program for 2018 through 2023.
Second?
Mayor, move resolution number 17-227.
Motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor of resolution 17227, raise your right hand. I count. Oh, shit, 6. Six out of 6, it's adopted. Resolution 17228.
Resolution number 17228, City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington. A resolution of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington accepting Wellington Parkway, a public street located in Trutina Addition, located in the northwest quarter of Section 10, Township 25N, Range 45E, WM, Liberty Lake, Washington.
Mayor, move resolution number 17-228.
Second.
Just a quick question. The map was kind of small that I was looking at, so I was reading the agenda on my phone. This only goes up to the gate, correct?
Correct.
Thanks.
What's beyond the gate?
Private road.
Oh, yeah. So, any other discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor of resolution 17228, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Upcoming agenda items, Kate?
Okay, so August 1st, National Night Out, we have planning commission confirmation of individuals, appointment, recommendations, the smoking ordinance, or I should say the no smoking ordinance, the library quarterly report, and then Andrew's going to be bringing back some more information about the Pavilion Park system. And what am I forgetting here? Let's see here. Oh, and we have our very first public hearing on the 2018 budget.
When is that?
The 2018 budget is a public hearing, August
Is there
1st.
anything to have a public?
We're required to have so many public hearings, so this is
Yeah,
the
but we
first
haven't
one.
seen anything
No.
yet come out.
This is a time for the public to come and say, we would like you to fund X, Y, Z.
Citizen comments?
I'm just gonna stand right here.
That's perfect.
Sure,
Pat Dockery, 22213 East Road. I want to thank a couple of groups. The coffee with the cops, it wasn't mentioned, but McDonald's supplied the coffee for free.
Yeah.
Because I went over there and got a free cup of coffee. I thought that was very cool.
Absolutely.
They had one of their ladies there, one of their public relations people. Marketing, yeah. So they had one of the higher ups there. I thought that was a very community-oriented thing to do. A lot of you may have noticed the new apartment houses going in at Conklin and Sprague behind the credit union. Those are being built by Catholic